Welcome back to my channel. I am Ninth House Jupiter, and in today's video we're going to be talking all about the Aquarius Moon. I am an Aquarius Moon and my Mercury's conjunct Uranus. There's literally 1 degree between them, so the Aquarius archetype is one I do understand quite well. And I just want to start off by saying, if you're an Aquarius Moon, this is the most special moon out of all the moon signs. Hands down, this is a fact. This is a special, unique, mystical, majestic, different, complicated and quite a complex moon sign actually out of all of the moon signs. Definitely one of the more misunderstood moon signs. And also I just want to say as well, Aquarius moons. When you found out you was an Aquarius moon, tell me there wasn't like 15 light bulbs that went off in your head, putting the pieces to the puzzle. When you found out you was an Aquarius moon and what that meant, and it really helps you understand your inner core. I mean, when I found out I was an Aquarius moon, everything I learned about it, that was it. It made so much sense to me, but I'm getting ahead of myself because some of you may know, but some of you may not know, the moon sign is actually one of the most interesting things to know about yourself, about your birth chart and somebody else's actually. It's a very personal side to us. It's the inner side. It's the private part, more hidden, our inner emotional core, really, our inner emotional world. And it's not what people see when they first meet you, because that is your rising sign. And it's not how you express yourself really either, because that is your sun sign. So the moon sign is your emotions, it's your feelings and your reactions, how you react to things. Your moon sign is going to let you know what you kind of need in this lifetime to feel emotionally fulfilled and emotionally stable, and is also going to give a really good indication to what type of mother you had, what type of upbringing that you had. So let's have a look at what it's like to have your moon in Aquarius from a fellow Aquarius moon, Mercury conjunct Uranus. This is the most misunderstood moon sign, and it is one of the more complicated moon signs and complex moon signs to break down and understand out of all 12 signs. Like, as I said, this is a fact, hands down. I know I am an Aquarius moon, but there's reasons why it plays out in this way. But let's start off and look at the planet rulers of this sign. This is a male fixed air moon that we're talking about, that's ruled by Saturn and Uranus. Let's have a look at Saturn and Uranus. You've got Uranus, which is about freedom, literally the planet of freedom. You've got Saturn, which is boundaries, limits and restrictions. Then you've got Uranus, which is all about being unconventional, not conforming, not following social norms. You've got Saturn that is representing law and order. It's exalted in Libra. You have Uranus that's very unpredictable, very unpredictable planet. It's very, very different. It spins on its side like no other planet does in our solar system. Saturn is quite predictable. It's about the long haul commitment of things and like seeing a job through to the very, very end, basically. You've also got Uranus that deals with non-worldly matters. It's dealing with the future, things not of this earth. Saturn is a realistic planet. It's realistic. It deals with practical matters. So just from those few traits that I've started off with there, you can see why these are conflicting, dominating. These are very strong, powerful, dominating planets ruling over your inner core. Now, I'd say that's, one of the reasons why we seem a little bit strange and it plays out a difficult moon to understand and explain, basically, because you have these two very different planets there. But you need to understand Uranus and Saturn to understand Aquarius. That's why I wanted to start off with that. But let's get that out of the way and let's move on, because this is a very, very perceptive moon sign. People don't always see it in this way or realise maybe actually, but Uranus is a very, very intuitive planet. The way that the intuitiveness works with Uranus is in terms of flash downloads. Like, it's really quick downloads, like from the ether. It's represented, Aquarius is represented by the water bearer, literally pouring knowledge down onto humanity. So we receive flash messages of intuition. And Aquarius deals with humanity. We're talking about, the 11th house of humanity, everybody, the collective conscious. So Aquarius moons, we love to observe everything, everywhere we go, don't we? People watchers. I am a people watcher. I love sitting there, just listening to things, just watching how people are doing things. But we're reading, we're listening, we pick it up. I feel I know pretty quickly. I can work someone out, I can gauge them pretty quickly. I feel what type of person they are, what they're about. I feel like I can sense what sort of life they've had in some way, like reading between the lines very much. This is an air moon. Air is obviously intelligent, and air deals with the thinking and the communicating. So Aquarius moons, we are naturally intelligent. Sorry guys, but we are. We can just pick things up. We're interested in so many different types of things. We're here to learn about humanity as a whole. So you can imagine, we want to learn. We will be over listening or overhearing someone's conversation just to kind of learn how they're interacting, watching things, to see if there's anything that we can pull from that sign. This is a sign that really, really likes to learn things on a deep, deep level. So, you know, many Aquarius moons are going to be into things like astrology, for example, but, you know, very much the more out there topics, and they can go so far with it. This is a fixed sign. I said that already. This is a fixed sign, and with the fixed sign archetypes are able to really focus. So when they do find a topic of interest, they can be quite obsessive with it actually, and just very focused and dedicated to the cause in one way or another. But we are intelligent and we want to share our information. Aquarius moons, you should be sharing information with everybody. You're probably doing it anyway with everyone around you. Like when you've learned something, you want to find someone you can talk to about that and go deep on the topic. This isn't surface level. This is not a surface level moon sign. We are very deep people. Aquariuses are renowned and known for coming across as cold and detached and able to act unbothered about things. Like, we are the masters of being able to act as if we just don't care. And I think there's a couple of reasons why that plays out. It's either one, because we actually do not care. Sorry. Just really finding it hard to engage with that particular situation to show enough that we care, because we just don't. Or it's that we do obviously care a lot, but at that particular time might be just struggling on where to start with having to let out how we're feeling on the inside. And we know from past experiences, when we are trying to deeply explain how we're feeling, we are misunderstood. Not everybody gets what we're trying to say, so sometimes it's just easy to not say anything at all, isn't it? Like, it's just easier to just stay silent. But that is why it can come across as being like kind of cold and detached. But in terms of emotions and feelings and reactions of an Aquarius moon, this is really quite difficult for me to exactly pinpoint how this will play out, because we have Uranus ruling here. It changes everything. This is the planet of unpredictability. So the way that they react, you can't say it's going to be like this every single time. As a general rule of thumb, though, if you want me to put a general rule of thumb spin on this, then there will be an intellectual reaction. It is an air moon, so the emotions and feelings will be intellectualized, and, you know, their reactions is probably going to be something like witty, some smart wit that they've got pulled from somewhere. But it's not like, say, fire moons, for example. Fire moons, they're really reactive every single time. A fire moon's going to react to something. And then a water moon, a lot of times, can get so super emotional every single time about something. Aquarius moon could be different. One time they might get angry, one time they might be sad, one time they might say absolutely nothing at all. Another time they just might not talk to you for 4 days, but they'll talk to you again afterwards. Don't worry, they're just gone silent for a little bit. It's unpredictable with the emotions and reactions. And you might have some Aquarius moons that are really emotional people, really, really affectionate, love hugs and kisses and all of that. And then you might have some Aquarius moons that are more like with that Saturn there, that Saturn dominating planet. They might actually be more reserved and really not emotionally an emotional person like that, an outwardly affectionate person. So it kind of does depend. I am an Aquarius moon, so I do understand this. Another thing, as an Aquarius moon, we are stubborn. Let's face it, we are stubborn at our core, because this is a fixed sign. This is a trait that is carried by all the fixed signs, stubbornness. So we can really dig our heels in. Oh, we can dig our heels in, can't we? And, you know, we don't want to conform. Rebels, that rebellious nature. We have a rebellious nature. From very, very young, we've had this rebellion, you know, that phrase, like, rebel at heart. I feel a rebel at heart. That is so Aquarius Moon, because it's the inner side and we've got the rebelness there. But anyway, we are very, very willful and very, very strong-minded and pretty fixed and firm. Like when we believe something, unless some new data comes along that can change our opinion, then yes, we will just change like that as well. This is Uranus here, it's unpredictable. But the stubbornness trait in me, it really means that we just don't like being told what to do very well. Like, definitely don't like being told what to do and being tried to be restricted in any way, shape or form, because we are freedom lovers. Like me especially, like I'm Aquarius Moon, I'm Sagittarius Sun. Freedom, they're both about freedom lovers. So, you know, we like to feel freedom. That's why we kind of struggle, to be fair, with people trying to force us to do things or trying to make us do things in a certain way. Or especially if you've got someone that you just know doesn't understand you at all whatsoever, trying to give you advice. You're like, please, like, you're not even... We're on separate wavelengths of thought, so thank you very much for your advice, but I don't want to take it because you don't even know where I'm here with it and you're here with it. Like, we can be very futuristic and kind of ahead of our times, and that is a little bit not everyone can catch up with that. But, you know, that there is a very much a stubborn nature there, and, you know, I've always been told I don't listen. People close to me have always like, oh, you don't listen. And I guess I don't really listen to being told what to do, but I am a very, very good listener in general as a rule. Aquarius Moons, you are very, very good listeners. The Aquarius archetype in general, actually, really good listeners. Why? We're talking about the 11th house of friends, of the collective conscious, of connection, social connection. So Aquarius can, one, strike up a conversation pretty much anywhere with anyone. And two, this is an air moon, isn't it? This is an air moon. What does air do? It deals with thinking and communicating. So this is a communicative moon sign. They do like to talk. I think Aquarius is like the most social unsocial sign, because they're really social people. They love being around and talking with people and listening, and at the same time they really need time by themselves and to not talk to anybody at all. It's a bit weird, really. Aquarius Moon, we are a bit weird, but there's reasons why we are a little bit weird. But going back to the good listening part as well, so Aquarius, as I've been saying throughout the video, it deals with humanity. So we care enough. We're not going to not listen to someone if someone comes to us for advice. I find a lot of people in my life, my friend groups especially, they really do turn for me for deep advice, because I can listen for so long. We're knowledge seekers, aren't we? So when we're listening, we want to learn something from a situation, but two, because it's dealing with humanity, we want to be able to help. We will try and help if we can. If we can say something, we can give that sort of, you know, being an Aquarius Moon, being able to detach from the emotion of the situation that's been spoken about and given advice. So although we don't listen to being told what to do, we do listen to people's problems in life. Like, very, very good ear, like that agony aunt thing. Okay, now I want to move on to and have a look at and speak about in a bit more detail than I find is out there, really, the emotions of an Aquarius Moon. I've already touched upon it earlier and said it's kind of difficult, it can be a little bit unpredictable and can play out very differently. But I hear so much and I read about all the time of how we're so cold and detached and we have no emotions and we don't feel. It doesn't even make sense. Like, that statement, one, doesn't even make sense, because how can you make that statement without looking at somebody's chart as a whole and looking at their aspects? You're going to tell me, if you've got an Aquarius Moon, for example, that's heavily water dominated, let's say a water sun sign plus a water rising sign and some stelliums in water houses or other water signs, or, you know, a fire moon, or not a fire moon, sorry, just heavy fire placements, for example, that is going to be very passionate, a much more passionate Aquarius Moon, and every human in the world feels, don't they? It's just that with Aquarius Moon, it's going to depend how it plays out, depending on how your chart is, your personal chart. But you know, there is Saturn there. We can't miss that. So the similarities there with Capricorn Moon, Saturn rules over Cap Moon. So Capricorn Moons are very reserved with their emotions because you've got the restrictions on the inner side. This is the same here with Aquarius. You have got Saturn ruling on the inner side here, but it plays out differently because you've got Saturn in air. When Saturn's in Capricorn, that's an earth. Saturn here is in air, so it allows the mind to continue to think. If you think about it like that, I feel like I've just gone on a bit of a tangent there, but I'm just trying to explain it. My Mercury is conjunct Uranus, guys, so bear with me. But we do feel things deeply. This is a myth that we don't feel. This is a myth. We feel things on an extremely deep level, actually. I know this. But not always the best, or don't always want to express that outwardly to other people. We're sensitive to the environment around us. We are perceptive. We feel things. We can read things. We know what's going on. We can walk into a room, get a bit like Scorpio moon, like that, just that vibes where you read things, you pick things up. You can't help it, can you? So we are emotional, not the best always at expressing it outwardly. And I find that, from my view anyway, and for some Aquarius moons, if you've got an Aquarius moon around you and they suddenly go really quiet, I mean, it's not unusual for an Aquarius moon to have a couple of days off in a quiet moment. But I'm talking about if they actually go really quiet and withdrawn, and more withdrawn than usual, for example, then that's probably when they're actually in an emotional state, because they're going to probably be very locked into their heads then. I think if an Aquarius moon isn't saying anything at all for a while and completely silent like that, that's when you should be, the little warning flags go off, like, are they okay? Like, because they might just be stuck in their heads, and they need to have those close, perceptive people around them to pull them out when they're feeling some sort of way. Definitely needed for this sign. So we are emotional. There's also a few other reasons actually why, you know, in terms of emotions, you have always probably been told, or you might come across as cold and detached, even though I just said you're not cold and detached, but you can come across as being cold and detached. Do you find, or have you found, that in your lifetime, when you've been expressing yourself to people, when you're talking to people, when you have tried expressing your emotions, they just don't get it? They don't know what you're talking about. They don't know where you're coming from. They're like, how have you even got to that place? And like that going through life feeling like that and feeling misunderstood can sometimes just make it be easier to just not say things and just keep quiet, because you just kind of you just think to yourself, they're not going to understand me anyway, so what's the point? Another reason actually why Aquarius moons are now emotions, it is more complex, and that cold detachedness vibes that can come with us, is how we were raised. Our mother or father, actually, you know, whatever parent raised you. But let's talk about an Aquarius moon as a mum and what that actually means, first of all. If you're an Aquarius moon, your mother will be an Aquarius dominated woman in one way, shape or form, whether that's sun, moon, rising, you know, Mars or Venus in the sign of Aquarius, or some heavy 11th house energy, or, you know, stellium in Aquarius, or Uranus prominently aspecting one of her main planets. She could even be a Capricorn type woman, because we have got the Saturn there. But in some sort of way, an Aquarius dominated woman. Now, my mom, for example, let's look at my mom. She has her Venus in Aquarius. There we go. And she is a Capricorn sun sign. Her sun sign is Capricorn and Venus is in Aquarius. So, you know, that's Uranus and Saturn ruling my mother. And then you've got my dad. Let's look at my dad. He is an Aquarius. And he's a Capricorn moon. So I did actually grow up in a really Saturnian household. Like, it's very true for me, having that Aquarius twist on the parents. But this means, being an Aquarius moon, you weren't necessarily raised with emotion. You weren't raised with huge displays of affection and you know, really emotional parents like that. Your parents would have been very logical. Your mum would have raised you really to be a very logical and individualistic type person. My mum's like phrase in life was, why would you want to be like everybody else? It's good to be different. She made sure that I understood that I'm here to be different and to be independent. She raised me to be very independent, very practical, very logical, to not follow the crowd. Don't just do what everyone else is doing. Like, have something about yourself. Like, be independent. That was a very important message. It just depends actually how your moon sign's aspected and how the relationship with your mother plays out. But it could be that because you were never shown any like real emotional displays as a child. You don't turn to your mum, and you don't turn to your mum for emotional advice really, but logical advice, life advice, oh, they can give that so well. Aquarius Moon's mum, go to them for some life advice. They're going to bring that real Saturnian, practical, logical approach to it. Or it could be a case that you're actually more friends with your mum than anything, and your mum is more like a friend than a mum. Your mother could have also been quite an unconventional lady in some way, shape or form, or traditional actually, and how that plays out with you, because there is a rebellious nature from young within us. So for example, if your mum was a really traditional person, you might have been like, I'm not going to be traditional. You're going to make sure you grow up to be different. Or if your mum was really, really different and really out there, you might have been like, oh, I just want to be normal. I actually do want to be a little bit traditional here. Like, it completely depends how it plays out. I think Aquarius Moon's mum they're probably better with their, oh, that sounds bad, not the word better, but they raise the child to be like little adults. They prefer them when they're a bit older to when they're toddlers, when they can actually talk to them and engage them and teach them when they're all little, and it's just, loads of responsibility. They're just kind of like, oh, just grow up so I can teach you and learn stuff. But, really does depend, guys, with your moon sign on your chart as a whole and how it plays out and how it's aspected. So let me know in the comments, what was the relationship like with your mum? The opposite sign to Aquarius is Leo, and let's think how about a Leo moon would play out. Leo moons are really loud and very expressive. They want everyone to know how they are feeling. They want attention for their feelings. Because Aquarius is opposite to this. That's another reason why it doesn't play out in necessarily the most emotionally expressive like that, like Leo's. But then again, at the same time, because Uranus is ruling here, some Aquarius moons, you might just be like a Leo moon. And you might be a bit dramatic. If you're an Aquarius moon mixed with some heavy Leo energy, or, fifth house stelliums, for example, then you might be a bit of a louder Aquarius moon. If you're an Aquarius moon with like Mars in Aries, then, you are a more reactive Aquarius moon, and maybe even a bit aggressive, actually. You might carry some aggressive traits there, but it will depend on your aspects and your personal chart on how that plays out. So have a look. Let's have a look at an Aquarius moon in a relationship. What's it like to get with an Aquarius moon? Because it's not the easiest task in the world to be with any Aquarius, actually. I find, and I have noticed, that in life, Aquariuses, we find each other. Whether that's through friends or partners, but Aquarius energy, I just find, manages to find each other somewhere along the line. Couple of examples. I just told you my mum's Venus is an Aquarius, my dad is an Aquarius. I am an Aquarius moon. My partner is an Aquarius. He's a stellium Aquarius and he's an 8th house Aquarius. My Venus is in Scorpio. So I've got my Venus in Scorpio and I'm an Aquarius moon with a stellium Aquarius in the 8th house of Scorpio. Do you see? See, guys? But if you look at your partners, you'll probably find there's something, there's probably some sort of Aquariusness there in the partner's chart, because in general we are attracted to people that are a little bit unique, a bit weird, a bit different, that are a bit out there. Might be attracted to someone with that like rebellious type nature, that person wants to go like left when everyone else is going right. But the most important thing to know about this moon sign, guys, is that we need time alone. This is true. We need time by ourselves. We need time and space, and freedom is a big, big, big part of this moon sign. It wouldn't really work with a partner who didn't allow us to have any freedom, any alone time. It wouldn't work really if a partner wasn't into the weird stuff that you might be into, or thought everything you did was strange. No, we don't want that. I don't need someone else who's actually close around telling me that what I'm into is weird. I don't. I need you to get on. How about you get on board with what weird thing I'm into? That's how to love an Aquarius. If you can show an interest into whatever weird interest they're in, winner, 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 chicken dinner. So it really needs someone who can mentally stimulate them as well, actually. And like, if you can teach an Aquarius moon something, or if you're into what they're into on an even deeper level, then they're gonna really, really love that from you. But with an Aquarius moon, as I tried to say, it's weird, because we need time and space, and then at other times you might want to be completely joined at the hip with that person. Do you know what I mean? But we are selective in our partners. This isn't a sign that just runs out and gets with every Tom, Dick and Harry, like that person's got to be right. me, for example, you know, not going to reveal my real age and all that, but, you know, I'm in my 30s, we'll leave it there. But I've had 3 partners, guys, in my whole life. There's been 3 people I've let into my personal space and to partner up with me, because it's serious. I'm not about to give my energy to just anybody. And with that as well, we are so loyal. Oh my Lord, this is a fixed sign. We are very loyal in a partnership, that real ride or die type energy. We're not just going to run off at the slightest little inconvenience, for example. What an Aquarius moon might do, though, is have a little bit of alone time, and they might just not talk to you for a bit, but they will come back, and they will always like be there for you when needed. You know, we're talking about Saturn here, responsibilities and all that, so like they will show up for you, and you can rely on them. You can definitely rely on an Aquarius moon, but I think what we don't like is that if someone expects something of us all the time, that's an issue. Don't emotionally expect things of me all the time as well. Like, so another thing in a partnership, if too much emotion is put onto an Aquarius moon and they're completely overwhelmed with someone's emotion and someone's needs and requirements, it can just make them kind of shut down a little bit, because they don't know how to handle that very well. You know, with emotions in Aquarius, we're talking about humanity. People, you can't change humanity and be emotional about it. Do you know what I mean, guys? The superpower of Aquarius moon is being able to detach from something. This is why we can detach from a situation. We can literally zone out, go back into our own world of thought. It really, really can happen. But we definitely need a partner who can understand us, who will want to go off with us somewhere, go travelling, go do something random.com, but then come back and then go and do our own thing and have our own interests. But you'll find an Aquarius moon being with them, this will take you years to work this person out. You're not going to just get with an Aquarius moon like, oh, they're like this, because you can be like, oh, hang on, but they said this time, and now they're doing this. Like, there's that unpredictability there. To understand an Aquarius moon deeply, and I'm talking about deeply, you need to watch them, observe them in all types of scenarios. You can try and start to work out how they are as a person, how they tick, because we are peculiar, let's be honest. We are strange. We don't feel like a lot of other people feel about things. So, you know, it's like peeling back several layers to an onion. We are a complete enigma to start to understand. So you need to give an Aquarius moon time. Give them time. Don't be expecting to reveal and blurt out their life to you straight away. It's not going to happen. It's going to take a few years. And they are going to be unpredictable. And, you know, you just need to find a partner, basically, that's suitable for the unusual energy that it is. I feel quite lucky, actually, that I am with an Aquarius stellium. So there's nothing that I do that's weird. There isn't the weird me and him, like the things we chat about. He's just as into astrology as I am. You can imagine. We speak about astrology so much, like all day, every day. We're watching programs. We're like, oh, that's a Leo, that's a Sag moon right there. Like, I need that. I need someone who I can really talk deep to for hours about random stuff. Yeah, that's just what I find. But you guys let me know, how do you find it being an Aquarius moon? How do you find it partnering up with someone? Because we do like our space. You know, it's quite a big deal. So if you've got an Aquarius moon and you've won one over, congratulations, because that is not easy. The Aquarius energy, the Aquarius moon, the archetypes, we are definitely unusual. There's definitely something strange about us, a little bit weird, a little bit peculiar. I can't tell you how many times in my life people are like, you're nuts, you're so weird. I don't even care anymore though, guys. Like, I'm so far past that point now. I've grown into my Aquarius moon-ness, and I accept the fact that I'm different, and I have no plans to become normal. I have no plans to follow society. Like, obviously I can fit in with society, you know, I am a person in society, have a job and all that, but I'm not gonna, I know there's such different things out here. There's so many worldly, non-worldly things to be exploring and taking time to learn about. And being an Aquarius Moon, I want to share. I'm a Sag too, Jesus Christ, teachers. I want to share my knowledge with the world. This is why, for example, I started this YouTube channel. I've got so much to say. I need some people to share it with. Because not everyone likes what I'm into, like my friend group. That's the thing with Aquarius Moons as well. You probably have lots of different friend groups. You found that growing up. You have friends that do this, friends that do that, because you can be so eclectic. Your taste, like your taste in music. There's not one particular music you can tie an Aquarius Moon down to. Like they can listen to classical and drum and bass. Depends on the mood, depends on what's going on at the time. They're eclectic people, but there's definitely an element of weirdness there. But don't lose it, because this is what makes you unique and different. This is your superpower, it's your strength. And also the whole thing with us and, you know, like ignoring people and just not replying back and things like that to texts, or just ignoring calls. You know, sometimes we need a life break, like a society break. There's just sometimes where we just really just don't want to talk to anyone, and it isn't anything personal. We're not trying to offend people, but Aquarius Moons, make sure you are communicating out to people close to you. When you have one of those moments, you need to be like, guys, I just need a few days off. I don't really feel like talking to anyone. They might not understand, but we have to do that for our own sanity. And but I find I kind of go quiet on people if they just start to be expecting a bit too much of me, or becoming a bit too like stuck to me in that way. It just can be a bit like, okay, we need to take 5. We're going to reconvene, but we just need 5. You know what I mean? Also, I've got to get this in, guys. Have a look. You've got to know. We are the researchers of life. Like, we are Aquarius Moons, Aquarius Archetypes. What don't we research? If we're interested, we're going to get to the bottom of it. We need to learn. And we like to learn and listen to other people's opinions on things so that we can help form our own opinion of it. That's what we do. But you'll find that the people that you can listen to the most in this world, the people you can relate to the most, are going to be of the Aquarius nature. This blew my mind. My favourite people that I listen to, learn from. We're not just talking about astrology here. We're talking about philosophical, occult knowledge, things like whatever weird topic I'm into at the time. But when I look at the people's charts of who I like, they are of Aquarius. They've been Aquarius Moons, actually. They were Aquarius Moons. Manly P. Hall. Shout out to Manly. One of the greatest philosophical, occult, ancient knowledge people that have ever existed. To other people that I've tried to show him to my friends, they're like, he's so boring. How do you listen to that? But to me, that's not boring. It's the most engaging he spoke to my soul. But he's an Aquarius Moon. So no wonder there was that instant thing of us, you know, we like Aquariuses, we like each other. We spot that peculiarity. We spot the futuristic. We spot the differentness, and we're engaged. We're in. We're not judging. We are a bit judgy. But we don't judge at the same time. Like, we might judge, but we still accept. That's it. So we might judge, might be like, okay, so that's a bit whatever, but we still accept it. We're very accepting of everyone as a whole. Right. I don't know how long I've been talking for now, guys, but I'm going to leave it there. That was my interpretation of my video on the Aquarius Moon. I really hope you enjoyed it. I spoke for a really long time. But if there was anything that I said that you liked or could relate to, then drop me a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, then of course, subscribe. And come with me on my astro journey through YouTube. Coming up in my next video, it's the last one of the moon sign series. We're going to be talking all about the Pisces moon. So I'll see you in my next video.